The first time Ethan Hale realized how quiet his life had become, it was a bright weekday morning when the sun spilled through the office windows and he noticed there was no one left to call just to share the moment with. No laughter waiting at the other end, no partner to send a photo to, only the gentle vibration of his phone reminding him that lunch break was over and responsibilities never paused for grief. Before the story truly begins, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet power of everyday people doing their best, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Spark. Your support helps stories like this reach hearts that need them. Ethan was a single father of one, a man who carried exhaustion in his shoulders and hope in the careful way he packed his daughter's lunch every morning. His daughter Mara was 7 years old, bright-eyed, and wise in the way children become when life asks too much of them too soon. Since her mother passed away 3 years earlier, their world had narrowed into routines built for survival. Morning sunlight through thin curtains, school drop-offs with rushed smiles, long workdays followed by grocery store dinners and bedtime stories read with tired but loving voices. Ethan worked as an executive assistant at a mid-sized architecture firm, a job he never imagined himself in but learned to respect because it paid the bills and kept Mara safe. His boss, Vivienne Cross, was known throughout the firm as untouchable. She was composed, brilliant, and impeccably dressed, always moving with purpose as though time bent around her. At 42, she had built her career from nothing, earning admiration and quiet intimidation in equal measure. People whispered that she had no life outside work, that her standards were impossible, that no one ever truly knew her. What most people did not know was that Vivienne stayed late not because she loved the office, but because empty apartments were louder than crowded conference rooms. One afternoon, sunlight poured across Vivienne's desk as she stared at her laptop with an expression Ethan had never seen before. It was not authority or focus. It was uncertainty. She had called him in under the pretense of reviewing schedules, but instead she turned her screen slightly toward him. An online dating profile sat half-finished, blinking expectantly like a question she was afraid to answer. Ethan did not laugh or judge. He had not dated since his wife's funeral, and he understood fear disguised as productivity. He gently helped her adjust photos, refine descriptions, and remove the overly professional tone that made her sound like a resume instead of a human being. He suggested warmth without oversharing, honesty without armor. As he worked, he noticed her shoulders slowly relax, the tension easing as if someone had finally given her permission to be imperfect. The moment shifted when Vivienne looked at him differently, not as an employee, not as a subordinate, but as a man who saw her clearly. She closed the laptop, leaned back in her chair, and with a small, unexpected smile, challenged the whole idea of profiles and algorithms by asking him why he was helping her find someone else when he was right there. The question lingered in the air long after Ethan returned to his desk. He tried to bury it beneath spreadsheets and emails, but it followed him home, echoed in the hum of the refrigerator, and slipped into his thoughts as he tucked Mara into bed that night. He told himself it was impossible. Vivienne lived in a different world. She had elegance, status, and a life polished by success. He had second-hand furniture, school pickup schedules, and a heart still bruised by loss. Days passed and the office returned to its usual rhythm. Yet something had changed. Vivienne became softer around the edges, more human. She asked about Mara. She listened when Ethan mentioned small victories, like his daughter learning to ride. Her bike, or laughing again without hesitation. Ethan, in turn, began to see Vivienne beyond her title. He noticed the way she paused at the window when the sun dipped low, the way she held her coffee mug with both hands as if grounding herself. Their connection grew quietly, not through grand gestures but through shared silences and understanding. Ethan still rushed out every afternoon to pick up Mara, still struggled with bills and fatigue, still doubted whether happiness was something he deserved again. Vivienne still stayed late, still carried the weight of leadership, still feared vulnerability. But slowly, they began meeting in the space between who they were and who they could be. The turning point came on a Saturday morning when the firm hosted a community design event in the park. It was bright, warm, and full of families. Ethan brought Mara, her laughter cutting through his usual self-consciousness. Vivienne arrived later, dressed casually for the first time Ethan had ever seen. When Mara shyly introduced herself, Vivienne knelt down to her level, not out of politeness but genuine interest. In that moment, something inside Ethan shifted. He saw not a boss or an impossible dream, but a woman who could choose kindness over distance. The day unfolded with sketches, shared food, and moments that felt suspended in time. Vivienne watched Ethan help Mara with paint-stained fingers, her expression softening as she witnessed the man behind the responsibility. Ethan noticed how easily Vivienne fit into the chaos of children and sunlight, how she laughed freely when no one expected her to be perfect. Yet fear does not disappear simply because hope appears. Ethan spent the following weeks pulling back, convincing himself that the risk was too great. He worried about power dynamics, about judgment, about what would happen if Mara grew attached and things fell apart.